Welcome to Life Beyond B.S, where we ditch the belief systems and the bullshit and get real about life. Here it's about awareness, choice, and creating joy that actually lasts. No perfection, just honest talk and powerful change. I'm your host, Heather McNally, and let's get into it. Hi, friends, and welcome back to Life Beyond B.S. I'm Heather McNally, your host, and today I'm going to share something a little more personal. I've been in a season of really learning to trust myself, my body, my brain, my intuition, and it's honestly changing everything. I didn't always feel this way though. I want to share a little bit about who I was, how miserable I was, like honestly miserable, and how I tried and worked and learned to trust myself again. If you haven't followed me, I'll share just a little bit about how I grew up in an abusive home. My father was my abuser. So he was extremely narcissistic and paranoid. And I grew up as this girl who was always wanting to hide. I think of myself a lot of the times as like about 8 years old, and the girl who's hiding because my parents are fighting, because he found something he didn't like, he was pissed off, and he decided to take it out on everybody. And I often received the brunt of it because I was the oldest of two kids. My brother was younger than me, and he always loved to tell me that everything was my fault, that I was the eldest, that I was responsible for everything and everybody. And looking back years later as a 53-year-old woman, I know that he was severely abused. And I feel terrible for the child that he was. I really do. Because being a mom myself, I could never see treating my children like that. And I made sure that I didn't. But as a child myself, I took all of this on. They were screaming, they were fighting, and I had been in the middle of it. And I ran up to my room and I hid, and I was terrified. I was shaking, I was hiding, hoping to God that he would not remember that I was there. And then it happened, and he called me downstairs. Here's the thing, and I'm not going to go into all the details because there's lots of them. But it was get down here in front of me and then being told. And this is the thing. He was physically abusive, but he was psychologically, mentally so, it was just so much worse to be constantly told terrible things about who you are and what you do and that you caused all the problems. And he told me as I had to stand there right in front of him. He was sweating profusely. He had spit coming out of his mouth as he's screaming in my face that it was my fault if my parents got divorced. And as a child, your ego is all about you at that point because that's all you know. You haven't learned the world yet. Your brain certainly isn't even fully formed. So you take everything on anyway. And being told that by the person who's supposed to love you unconditionally, and if you say no, you're going to get the beating. It was awful. It was hard. It was scary as hell. And I remember all the time in my life when I was young, I would hide. I remembered being terrified. I remembered hating. I just angry, just rage all the time. I remember being blamed for everything. I learned that everything was my fault, including my parents' marriage, apparently. I learned that what I had to say or what I felt didn't matter at all. I learned that my role in this life was to make everyone else happy, especially him, to hide, to be quiet, not to be seen. I even learned that my dreams were stupid because he told me that. Anytime I would walk around the house singing, and he'd be like, "What are you singing about?" And I'd say, "I'm practicing because I'm going to be a singer." He would laugh at me and make fun of me and tell me that it was stupid, that nobody in our family had a voice. Who the hell was I to think I did? So I hid. I was scared of everything. I tried to make everyone happy. People pleasing, it became my job. It became my identity. and I squashed my dreams. I had been this girl that was full of life, that was full of wonder for the world, that loved people, that had dreams. I had so much that I wanted to do. And I gave up and I learned not to trust myself. I learned how to really, really overthink every single situation and how it would affect everyone else. And that's what I had to worry about. I needed someone else to tell me if what I was doing was okay or even right. Like I didn't trust myself at all. And I completely disconnected from my body, my mind, and my intuition. I was terrified of making decisions. I was always in that stress and overwhelm. And I lived in self-doubt nonstop. Somewhere along the way, I stopped trusting any thoughts that I had. I stopped trusting myself completely. And I didn't even realize it because I was so young. Now, I want to say this was my experience. And I really honestly hope that it wasn't yours. What I want you to understand is that everyone's experience in this life is relative to their own life, their own experiences. So you may have or have had some of these exact feelings, yet you weren't abused. And like I said, oh, I hope that is true, that you weren't abused. But if you were, whatever your situation, you may have some feelings of self-doubt, of worthlessness, of people pleasing, of self-hatred, of not enoughness, whatever those feelings might be for you. They become part of our belief systems for so many reasons. It can be something as simple as being out somewhere with your mom or dad and they're not in a good mood because get it, we're all human, okay? And you ask them a question and they snap at you or they tell me you don't deserve it. And that sits in your little brain and you're trying to just make sense of the world. And so that becomes a belief system. So over the years, you've got these belief systems, right? Are they even true? But they run you because that's what you believe about yourself. And our brain is so powerful. I knew that this wasn't the life that I wanted for myself. The abuse, the self-hatred, the anger. Oh my God, the anger that I felt all the time. I knew I didn't want to live in that. That desire to hide? No. To not be seen or heard? No. I knew that life could be beautiful. It's somehow I innately knew this. But how? Because I didn't feel beautiful. I didn't think my insides were beautiful, my outsides were beautiful, but I knew it wasn't what I wanted. I met my now husband, Dan, when I was still 17. We went to the same college. And here's the thing about Dan. One of the reasons that I just was so drawn to him, because I could talk to him about anything, first of all, and he was very open and he would listen, and that was amazing because I never felt heard and I never felt listened to. And he cared. He cared about what I had to say. And he had this attitude of somebody that honestly was probably at least 10 years older. He had a confidence about him. He had this like self-assured, I know who I am, I know what I want, and I don't care what you think because this is me. And I was like, wow, okay, this is interesting. So, one of the things about meeting Dan and our friendship that developed very quickly is he allowed me to start kind of breaking out of my shell and start discovering who I was. It was okay. It was safe to do that. And it was like, oh my God, I get to blossom a little bit. And what I want you to understand is that it's awareness of being able to start to see patterns in your life and what you're doing and what you're saying and who you are believing you are. It's awareness of all of that that can start to change your life. And that's what happened for me. And it was not all of a sudden. It was not like this light bulb went off and I just got everything and everything was downloaded to me and my life changed instantly and dramatically. It wasn't that. And I was young. I didn't know what was going on. But somehow I found this person to be in my life that truly started to let me be seen and heard and truly gave me the ability to start to trust what came out of my mouth without even realizing it. So I started to pay attention to how I felt around him. I started to pay attention to the things I said when I was around him, the things I said when I was around other people, because I was starting to let myself actually think and feel. And that's really a big thing is learning how to feel. It's so important. And I realized sometimes that I was feeling something and I would shove it down, but shoving it down made me feel worse. So I started to catch thoughts and patterns and reactions that I had. And I want you to know it took time. This took years and years and decades for me. I started to pay attention to those things and listen to what I was saying, mainly because sometimes the things that came out of my mouth were not what I truly wanted to say or truly believed deep down in my heart, in my soul. It felt like someone else was speaking through me. And yeah, it was my father saying things like, I can't. I couldn't do that. I'm not able. I'm not good enough. No. And we say this a lot these days, and I think it's a beautiful thing that no is a full and complete sentence. But it needs to be when you mean it, when it is convicted in you to say no, when you're setting boundaries, not when you're denying who you are, not when you're denying yourself. I had to stop living in my head because I want you to understand this. Our brain is not always our friend. Our brain isn't trying to make us live the best, happiest version of our lives. Our brain is trying to keep us safe, and that's literally what it's doing. That's its whole point is to keep us running, to keep us alive. So I had to start listening to my body. And here is where a lot of us don't truly connect because we have intuition and we have feelings in our body, but society has taught us not to listen to it and to do the right thing all the time and to do what other people expect of us. And that's why I call this Life Beyond B.S. Because, yes, it's the belief systems that we've had put in us that are other people's thoughts and other people's beliefs and other people's feelings and other people's dreams, but they're not necessarily our own. And yet, it's also the bullshit that we tell ourselves and that we let others put on us. So we need to listen to our bodies because intuition is important. Sometimes we have to take the time to breathe, to pause, to slow down. And that's really hard in this society. I live in the Northeast, and in the Northeast, it's hustle culture. You do. And that's how you prove your worth and your value. Your value is what you can do. Your value is how much money you can make. Your value is how you can help everybody else. But where do you fall in there? Where do you fall in there? So, breathing. How often do you really take deep breaths? Because I notice a lot that I don't breathe and that I am breathing shallow. And that when I slow down, I feel guilty. And I've been working on that because you know what? I've learned that you have to breathe and you have to pause and you have to slow down and take care of yourself because no one else is going to do it for you. Historically, the fight, flight, freeze mode, which is called the sympathetic nervous system, helped us run from things like the saber-toothed tiger. But then, after that kind of encounter was over and the person survived, the fight, flight, freeze mode was able to turn off and people were able to calm down. And then they could go into that parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and reset, where you actually breathe and you're not in high alert. Yeah, that one. But in today's day, our brains and bodies are in constant states of stress. Like the things I talked about, the value that you put into the world is how you're judged. Look at the world around us. We've got work pressure, school pressure, family pressure, relationships, bills, and not enough money. Prices keep rising, and people are fearing losing their homes. Fires and floods, and other horrible emergencies like tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes. Healthcare seems to be taken over by insurance companies that deny tests and medications and treatments. People lose their homes and jobs because they become ill. War and politics tear us apart. Whew. And so all of this is going on, and we have constant 24/7 alerts and notifications, and the news, and the internet, and people talking about it, and Facebook, and Instagram. And yeah, can you see what I'm saying? All of that, just hearing all of that can set someone into fight, flight, freeze mode. And listen, I'm a coach and I learned how to handle this. And I still get there occasionally because it's scary sometimes. And even if we do the work, there are still moments when things can creep back in and we have to become aware and make a choice. So we get to choose to shut it down, to shut off the phone, to shut off the TV, to walk away, and just take a few moments to breathe. As I said earlier, we have to become aware of whatever it is that's activating our stress response. Because that cortisol, which is a stress hormone, being high all the time, it is terrible for your body and it can cause inflammation. And inflammation is the root cause of most disease. We have to become aware of how our minds are racing and how our bodies are reacting. What do you feel? Sit in it. If you don't know how to feel, you need to take the time to sit, to listen. Listen to your mind, but listen to your body. Listen to how you're feeling. You're going to feel, where do you hold your stress? I can tell you that back at the age of like 14 or 15 years old, I was sitting in my bed one day at home at night, and all of a sudden I realized my shoulders hurt, my jaw hurt, my neck hurt. And I was like, why? And then I realized I was clenching my jaw so tight. I was holding everything in my body so tight, and it was stress. And when you hold that all the time, it does terrible things to your body and it does terrible things to your mind. So sit down and think and feel. Okay, I want you to feel in your body. Sit and feel, close your eyes, breathe, and think about a situation. And my business coach that I had hired a long time ago, and I love, and she's a friend of mine, and she's amazing, taught me that when you're feeling something, let your body tell you. Is it something that's making you feel expansive? Like you want to lean toward it, like you lean forward into it. Like it's even though it might be scary because it's new and you might have nerves, it's an expansive, open feeling. Or when you sit and think about it and you have those nerves, is it like your body's leaning back, like away from it? And it's more of a restrictive feeling. Maybe it's feeling tight around you, tight around your chest, tight in your shoulders, tight in your jaw. wherever you hold your stress. Let your body tell you. It's important not to react automatically to a situation, to a thought and a feeling. Really let your body feel it and think about it. Making conscious choices, even when they are uncomfortable, and trust me, sometimes they will be, that's where you start. You become aware and then you feel it in your body and you make conscious choices. And they can be tiny choices, but conscious choices are what will help you. And you also have to stop worrying about external validation. Because let me just say, nobody is living your life for you. Nobody is invested in your life the way you are. And I'm a mom. I'm invested in my boys. I love them to death and I want the best for them. And I will do everything I can to help them when they need it. But I can't be as invested in their lives as they can be. And so that's the same for every one of us. Start looking internally for the validation. Start looking internally for who you are and what you want and what your values are and where you want to go in this life because nobody can do it for you. I stopped asking everyone what I should do. That doesn't mean that I don't value people's opinions when I want them, but they can't tell me what to do. They don't know my mind. And maybe one day a decision would be good for me, but the next day it might not be because maybe I've had something happen in between that made me say, oh, I didn't realize that. Start feeling into your body and let yourself think about what the question is or what the situation is and feel. Be aware and really sit in it. Because when you let your emotions take over, you're not choosing from a place of truth. You're not choosing from a place of honesty. You're choosing from a place of fear and emotion. And emotion can last as long as you let it, or you can stop it and breathe and think and get into your body. Practicing is important. So start practicing with little decisions, with something that isn't going to be a life-changing decision. Start practicing with little things that you're like, ooh, I don't know if I would want to do that, but maybe it would be interesting. That doesn't have lifelong consequences because practicing is what gives you the confidence. And it's not about perfection. It's not about perfection. Trust isn't built overnight. It's built in those moments, those tiny moments where you become aware and you feel and you make a choice. When you say yes to yourself and you do the thing, no matter how small it is, let me tell you, that's how you truly build confidence. I thought for so long that I would never be confident and that the people who were confident were so lucky. And I was jealous. But what happens is you do something and you make a decision and you take that step and you prove to yourself that you can do it again and again, no matter how small, no matter how big. That's what you do. You show yourself. And then you see, like, hell, I lived through that. Be proud of yourself for it. I've had so many things that I've done that I truly didn't believe I could do. And then I felt such a surge of pride for having done the damn thing. And that made it easier for the next time I wanted to do the damn thing, to take the choice, to try something new. Let's talk a little bit about taking a chance, okay? I thought about doing a blog for about 10 years. 10 years I thought about it. 10 years. I put it off and off and off and off and off because I was terrified. Like, who am I to say anything? Who am I to put anything out there? Because people will think I'm stupid, because people will make fun of me, because people won't like the way I speak, because people will make fun of my grammar or something like that. And eventually I spoke with that woman who became my business coach, and her name is Lachelle Weemy, and I adore her. And she's brilliant. And she saw in me that it wasn't this little blog that I wanted to do. Because she asked me the questions. She's so amazingly inquisitive, and she could see it in me. She could see it in my eyes. She could feel it in my energy. And she said, "Are you sure that's what you want to do?" And so we started exploring. And what did I do? I started a business as a coach. Okay. I was terrified. Who the hell do I think I am to become a coach? I do have a degree in psychology. I'm not a stupid woman. I'm an educated woman. I have lots of life experience, and that is often what you need is wisdom and life experience and to prove to yourself that you can. So I had to start proving to myself that I could do it. And each step brought me further and closer to a dream that I never dared to dream because I felt it was way too big. I thought people who had businesses were somehow better than me, more special than I was, that they had support that I didn't have, that they just had something that I just didn't and never could have. And guess what? I proved to myself that that was bullshit. I'm going to say it again. I proved to myself that that was bullshit. That the girl who thought I could never be anything special, I proved to myself that I could be and that I was special. Okay? I proved it. When you dare to dream big and you do the things that are necessary to step into those dreams, you realize that not only is it possible, but you were likely dreaming too small. So this past weekend, I attended a women's event called The Inspired Life. And it took place over Saturday and Sunday. I actually stayed at the hotel overnight in between, had dinner with some friends. There were speakers, there were workshops, there were vendors, readings, photos, sound healings, Reiki sessions, massages, and so much connection. So many like-minded women who are there to get better, who are there to learn, who are there to connect, who are there to just be. On my drive there, and it was only about a half an hour drive, I was truly excited. I knew a few of the women that were going to be there. I knew that we're going to have dinner. I knew that we'd walk around and I'd meet all new people. Whew, let me tell you that years ago, I would have been terrified to attend. And I mean like shaking, like full body shaking. And I would have wanted to go. I would have wanted so bad to go, but I would have bought the ticket and likely would have talked myself out of actually going because of my fear. I mean, we're talking like to the point where I would make myself physically ill. And I wouldn't have attended. I would have wasted the money. And the worst part of all is I would have missed out on all that I actually got to experience. All of the amazing beauty and goodness and connections that were there and things that I got to learn. What did actually happen? Exactly that. I made connections with people to come and be guests on my podcast. I made new friends. I learned new things. My energy was so high this whole time. And I've talked about the law of vibration and that when you vibrate at a higher level, you bring the same thing into you because like attracts like. I had the most incredible conversations. I had so much expansion. And let me tell you, expansion is my word for 2026, and I felt it. What stood out? My soul was filled. When they say your cup overflows, my cup was overflowing and I was able to overflow into other people. And what did I get told? I got told that my energy was amazing. I was just being me. But it's because I have allowed myself to see what was going on in my life, to see who I was, to see what I wanted, and to start making the choices. And I told you, it took me decades. This was not overnight. This was not a miraculous thing. This is what happens when you listen to yourself, when you truly listen to yourself. And I have to say that also, although confidence builds, though we grow, though we learn, there are still moments when we don't trust ourselves or we step back a little bit, when we might hold ourselves back. And that happens often when you're about to step into something new and some fear steps in. And that's when you need to, again, sit down, become aware. Become aware of what you're thinking, aware of how your body is feeling, aware of how you're breathing, what your response is. On the way to the event, I was actually thinking about what I was hoping to get out of the event, who I was kind of hoping to meet, and just letting myself kind of daydream. And I also was thinking about what I hope this would do for me as a person, but also as a business owner. I got into this thought of kind of like, I'm a life coach. And lately I've been more thinking, all right, now I'm an identity and alignment activator because it feels more aligned with me. Because coach sounds so generic and I'm more than that. I'm more than that. And listen to me say that because that's something that I couldn't even own saying I was a coach at first when I started. I'm more than that. But something just still keeps nagging about that title. And on that drive, I heard the word healer pop into my head. And I sort of was like, oh, what? And I was like, nope. And I brushed it aside. I'm not a healer. And into my back pocket it went. And there I thought it would stay. Well, through the experience over the weekend, through my conversations with women, through listening to what they were saying, through my own readings, and through my own intuition that I now allow myself to trust, I started to see that I am an intuitive healer. It's who I am. I've always wanted to help people. I've always felt things deeply. I've always had intuition. But all those societal bullshit stories telling me like to shove it down and to push it down because it's weird. Mm-mm. Instead of shrinking back, I took these signs over this weekend that were coming toward me from so many different directions. And you hear about synchronicities and things happening and people telling you things and situations coming up, and you think, oh, they're just coincidences. No, they're coming at you for a reason, and you need to listen and hear them and let your body take it in. So I took the deep breath and I let it settle into my body, and I listened to my body as it gave me the full bodied hell yes. I'm an intuitive healer. And so now my next level is appearing before me, and I'm taking it and I'm accepting it and I'm learning. This is what trusting yourself looks like in real life. It doesn't look like, well, this is the next logical step, and I go here and I go here, and this is what I do. Life isn't a straight line. Life is learning, life is experiencing, life is beautiful and complicated and sometimes hard. And I'm not saying life is hard, so I'm going to take that on as an identity and what it is. Moments can be tough. We experience beauty and we experience pain. And you need both in life to have a full experience, but both teach you something. It all teaches you something. And if you let yourself be open and become aware and listen and feel it in your body and make choices, this life is yours to own. So it feels lighter now for me. It feels calmer now. I feel clearer. It feels right. It doesn't mean, oh, everything is perfect because there's no such thing as perfection. Sure, a situation can be perfect for you, but there's no such thing as perfection. What I do know is that I move differently because I let myself be aware, listen, feel, and choose. I move differently. I decide differently. I light up differently. I interact with people differently. I feel so much lighter. I feel so much more convicted in who I am and what I'm here for. I don't spiral the way I used to. And believe me, I used to spiral. And when I say spiral, I mean I went into complete depressive states. I'm telling you this because I'm the woman who used to be the girl who didn't want to live. I'm the woman who used to be a new young mom who told my husband to leave me and take the kids with him and find a better wife and mother for our kids. I hated myself. I doubted everything I did. And oh boy, am I glad that he didn't. And am I glad that I started to sit and feel and become aware and deal with it. I trust that I can handle whatever comes up. I'm amazed at how much faster my decision making is because I know I'm aware of a situation. I know that I can trust myself to make a choice because I've done it before and I've proved it to myself. And I know that I can trust my body. I also know that not choosing is a choice. It's a choice to stay stuck. It's a choice of fear. It's a choice not to trust yourself. And therefore, hey, maybe you're letting others choose for you. And I know that, and this is huge, sometimes we all fail. And that's okay because failing is at least trying. And failing teaches you. It teaches you so much if you could only take the time to look at what happened, what worked, what didn't work, and learn from it. It's so important to fail. If you don't ever fail, you likely never tried. Failure provides information and education. Believe me, I failed. And then I learned. If you're in a place where you don't trust yourself yet, you're not broken. This is something that you can rebuild. I did it. I went from the girl who wanted this beautiful life and who loved being outside in the sun and who loved running and playing and who loved people and had these wild big dreams. And then they were squashed. And I didn't think I'd ever get out of that hole. And I'm here to tell you you can get out of that hole. You can rebuild. So I want you to reflect and take some time, maybe journal. Where am I not trusting myself? When did you first realize that you would, when did you first realize that you didn't trust yourself? Maybe it's now. Maybe it's listening to this. What was one moment where you chose differently and it changed something for you, no matter how small or how big? Think about it. Show yourself that you can. You can start small. What's one thing your body is telling you right now? If you're listening to this and you're getting chills and goosebumps, because that's the kind of person I am, when I hear something that's hitting me, my body responds. It's telling you something. What is it telling you right now? Think on a time when you did make a scary choice. What did your body feel like before and then after you did it? What scares you about trusting yourself? And another one, what has surprised you most about making a choice that you were afraid of, but then you did it? These are all such important questions. You need to learn how to trust yourself, to sit in the moments where you are maybe emotional and you're going to react from this emotional place. And it's not the best thing for you because you're not sitting into your body. I want you to know that I'm here. This podcast is an amazing place because I'm having deep conversations with women and men that have gone through and have maybe had a place that they were stuck or that they didn't believe they could, and then they did. And that's why I do this. That's why I'm doing this. That's what I'm doing with my life's work is to help people, is to help serve people and help them understand that you don't have to be stuck, that you're worthy of this beautiful life, that you're worthy of this beautiful life. And I'm here if you want to listen to more episodes. I'm here if you want to do this work with me. I am a coach, but I also am an educator. I'm a healer, and I love what I do. And I'm here to work with you, like I said, through the podcast. You can set up a one-on-one 60-minute conversation with me to see how we could possibly work together. No charge. And I will have the link to that in the show notes. And I have a program called Happy, Healthy, Whole. That is an educational program that you can do just educationally, but you could also do coaching with it. Because this is my life's mission, is to make sure you understand that you can and you will. I would love it if you would listen to this episode and share it with somebody else who you think really needs to hear this message. I would greatly appreciate it if you would take the time to like, to comment, to follow, to subscribe. Share with me what came up for you. I want to take the time now and thank you so much for sharing this space with me today. My hope is that you will walk away knowing that you have the power to choose differently. Go live fully, freely, and unapologetically. Your life beyond BS starts now. I'm so grateful you were here today. Remember, your peace, joy, and happiness aren't found in the BS. They're found in your choices. If this episode spoke to you, please rate, review, follow, and subscribe, and share it with a friend. For ways to connect or work with me, check the show notes or visit heathermcnally.com. Until next time, keep choosing you and keep living your life beyond BS.